it is Ros Lewis from Mash.ie. This is episode 2 of our Mash lockdown. We have a hashtag, or hashtag even, hashtag, it's a new word. So it's hashtag Mash lockdown, and it is everywhere on our Instagram page, which is Mash.ie. We have also successfully managed to put these videos up on IGTV. So you'll see a little snippet of them in a post in Instagram, on our Mash.ie Instagram, and then the rest of them you'll just be able to watch them on IGTV. So you'll be able to watch me forever. You can watch me every night if you want, even when this whole COVID thing is over. You'll be able to watch me all the time, or not. That's fine too. We've been getting lots of responses from all of you teacher people on our Mash Instagram page, telling us different ideas for a locked-in Paddy's Day day, which is going to be happening on Tuesday the 17th, and we're also going to have a special St. Patrick's Day, what to do when you're on a lockdown in St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to think of a catchier title. I'll get one of the staff members to do that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about my most favourite thing in the whole world, books, and not just any type of books, a methodology. So teachers have these things called methodologies, and methodologies are ways that we help children learn, and there's millions of them. I say millions a lot. One of the methodologies for books in teaching children to enjoy books is a read aloud. Now that sounds like, you're at home, you're just reading aloud a book to your child, but there's a little bit more to it, and I couldn't summarise it in this short video, but I want to give a little flavour for teachers maybe who are starting out, who'd like a little bit of a revision on this, and then maybe parents who just want to understand a little bit more about why read alouds are so important and how you can teach your child to read. I want to talk about the levels. What I will talk about is briefly talk about the reading levels and the different types of levels that your child might be at, or what level they're at. And then I'm also going to talk about my favourite books that I could find in the house to read to Emrys. And I found 5 of these lovely books, and I'll be talking about them in a minute. But first, the reading levels. Okay, so let's go through 3 basic types. We have the independent, we have the instructional, and frustration. Now you can probably, it doesn't take a brain to work out what you think those might be when it comes to reading, so they're easy enough to remember. Independent reading level is a book that the child can read with little to no help. They can read it by themselves with no frustration, they don't need any background knowledge, they can just access the book, pick it up and read it by themselves without an adult standing over them. Okay, that's where we want to get all children to be by the end of primary school, is to be reading more and more independently. The instructional level is the level where the teacher works, where they can instruct the child. So it's slightly below where their actually reading level is. So what they can do is they can bridge the gap, and they can teach them different aspects of reading skills. So we have decoding, we have making a connection with the text, fluency. There are lots of different things that a teacher might focus on in a reading lesson. That's the instructional level. And then we have the frustration level. Now the frustration level is as it sounds. It's, if you've ever heard a child or your own child reading a book they just can't read, it gets frustrating because it's negative and they give up, and they also cannot get any information from the text quick enough because it's so slow and so laboured. So those, we do not want a child to be reading ever at frustration level, because it's not going to bring their reading skills on, and it's going to cause a negative experience with text and with reading. So if you think about, say, I learned to knit, okay, when I was about 7 or 8, my mum taught me, my teacher, and to the point now I can knit a scarf and I can knit a jumper. But imagine if I was a beginner and someone asked me then to start doing casting on, or doing a full scarf, knitting a full scarf, even though I was a beginner. That's what frustration level is about. You don't have the necessary reading skills to bring you on, so it actually is completely counterproductive. So when a teacher is sending a book home, it should be at their instructional level. And you might think, this book is too easy for them. It actually should be easy for them. It should be at a level where they can read to easily, and they can experience, positivity, and they can show, they want to show their family members, their mum and dad, or whoever's at home, granny and granddad, how well they can read. That's what that is about. So don't be worried if you're getting books that are too easy. And that's exactly what should be happening. So we're going to look at these books, okay? So these books, you may have seen these. I got these in the library, luckily. I took out about 20 of them a week ago. These are the Read with Biff, Chip and Kipper. Okay, these are Oxford reading level trees. Now you might have seen these coming home in your kids' bags if they're in junior, senior or first class. You might not, they might use a different scheme in your school. So this is Reader Biff, Chip and Kipper. The great things about these books is the pictures are really, really good for beginning readers, but also they give you all the words at the beginning that they're going to focus on, and then all the words are fairly decodable enough. By decodable, I mean CVC or different combinations of consonant and vowel, so they're easy to sound out. So you have Wilf had a cat, and then the picture really helps them. So this is building success. Now they may be on a very basic phonics level 1 or pre-reader, that's exactly where they are. So these are the types of books that we use to teach reading. They're not the books really we're going to sit down before bed and start reading these, because these are teaching reading and practicing skills that they've picked up during the day working with their teacher. So this is a reading time, it's a homework exercise basically, so you don't want to be reading these before we go to bed, okay? What we do want to read before we go to bed or during the day, now that we have so much time, is we're going to aim to read as many books as we can to our kids. So we'll read alouds. With read alouds, in terms of levels, you're looking for 2 to 3 years above where your child is at. So Emrys is 5.5, so I'm going to be reading books for 8-year-olds to him. It's just me reading and him listening. This is so good for language rich, for developing all the language and for every aspect of all the language development. And again, I could do a million, I love that word, I could do lots of videos on this, but you want to be reading books that are 2 or 3 years above his actual reading level or capability. He's just enjoying it, he's just taking in the language. He might ask questions, he might point to words, but you take it all from him. It's all very much child-led. At the minute we are reading the entire Roald Dahl series, and when people hear that they're like, what, is he not too little? He is too little. I'm reading them though, and he's taking in, like, the language he's getting from them that he will start to use incidentally is brilliant, and they're just really enjoyable, you know. And I read them when I was little, I'm sure you did as well. So that's what you are reading throughout the day. But as well as that, you're reading picture books. Now picture books can be for any age of child, I think even up until the age of 99. Everyone loves a good picture book. Good picture book is, for me, I kind of call it a literary picture book. So it's not we've all seen, you know, the very much well-loved tales like the Gruffalo or any of the Julia Donaldson. They wouldn't be known as, I suppose, language. They're not overly language rich. They're good for onset and rhyme. They're good for rhyming. They're good for just enjoyable. But what I'm going to speak about is books that enhance critical thinking skills, and they get children to think about the text and they connect with it. The illustrations are also going to be quite clever. So we're talking about the author's purpose. So this is what teachers do in schools. We do another methodology called book talk. It's like critical thinking time around books, and from 4-year-olds, I've seen 4, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds give really, really high level order thinking, just philosophical thoughts on books. And if you're using good quality books, and I'll show you a few now, you should be able to get good quality thoughts no matter what age they are. So the first book I'm going to talk about, Anthony Browne. Now, if you haven't heard of Anthony Browne, I highly recommend you do. Luckily during the lockdown, An Post is still delivering, so I can put a few good bookshops, Irish local independent bookshops. We're not getting paid for this, this is not an ad. Books Upstairs in Dublin. If you ring them, if you email them, they will order these books in for you and post them out to you. And you've also got Kenny's Bookstore down in Galway. They have a massive warehouse of brand new and secondhand books. At the minute they are in work every day, so ring them, email them, and they will post you a lovely package down. Wouldn't that be nice to get that in the post? So look out for Anthony Browne. This is Gorilla. The gorilla shows up a lot in the Anthony Browne books, and I have other videos on my YouTube channel, on Mash.ie YouTube channel, where I actually go into detail about the book and why I love it. The illustrations are really, really, really interesting. There's always something for the children to think about. So let's look at this one, for example. So look, you've got the picture there to look at. So you might be asking children, who is that person in the picture? Why is the gorilla dressed like the little girl's dad? And then this, the dad's clothes. It's a bit ominous. And his books are dark. You know, don't get me wrong, they are dark. 4 and 5-year-olds can handle it. It's not dark as in drugs and drink and killing someone, but they are, you know, there's interesting kind of dark thoughts that children are able to handle and able to process separation, pain. He focuses a lot on the father-son or the father-daughter relationship, and the mother as well features as a lot. So it's useful for children to process different relationships and different thoughts and feelings. Gorilla is great fun. It's about a little girl who her dad doesn't spend much time with her because he's always working. He works from home, he gets in, he's too tired to deal with her. So this gorilla character appears at the end of her bed one morning, and she has a real adventure and has actually quite a happy ending. You'd be glad to know here's the happy ending. Yeah, so it's nice, it's lovely. You get loads out of that. So thanks to Browne, go and look them up. The second one that Emrys loves is The Greatest Animal Stories. This is chosen by Michael Morpurgo, the infamous Michael Morpurgo children's author. Emrys got this as a present when he was 1. It has all the old animal stories. So for example, it's got Brer Rabbit and the Well, it has The Ugly Duckling, it has all those lovely stories and told in such a lovely child-friendly way, and beautiful pictures as well. This, we read and reread and reread and reread that book. So we've got loads out of the book, so that's a highly recommended one to get for your child at any age, and it'll last them forever. And the next one, I'm going to give this a shout out. This is, again, coming up, St. Patrick's Day. This is Granuaile, the daughter of a great trader and sea captain 500 years ago. Illustrations in this are fabulous as well. And it's really about, it's a feminist text, which is great. So it's showing boys and girls that women can do all the same things that men do. They can be brave, and they can be strong, and they can also be mothers as well. So it's a cool one. I recommend that. This comes from a collection. This is from Gill Books, and they have lots of different types of books based on Irish myths and legends. And the guy who wrote it is called John Burke. He's the author, and he's a retired primary school teacher. And then his daughter's actually the illustrator as well, and she's illustrated some of the big massive history books and the Irelandopedia books. You might have seen them. They're really big books. They work on those too. So that's a recommendation. We're going to put all these links down below, and we'll also put them on our Insta stories. So don't worry if you don't catch them. Shaun. So this one is called The Last Thing by Shaun. If Anthony Browne is dark, Shaun is darker, as in he's very strange, he's eccentric, and his pictures, you could spend days just looking at one page. I know, I do that, I'm a bit sad, helping children to analyse not only the text but to analyse illustrations, because they're capable of it. So this is about a lost thing, you can see it there. That was lost and just appeared in, it's kind of a futuristic world. And the illustrations are great, and then on the back you've got a little postcard you can read. Again, any books by Shaun. Just check out Shaun because he goes up to almost young adult age, so he actually has a lot of textless books with no wordless books, just pictures. Some of them you'd have to check in terms of age appropriateness, if they might be a little bit too dark for your child, but Emrys loves the Lost Thing, and he's 5, so he's able to access that, no problem to him. The last one, this is very strange. I picked this up in books upstairs. This is called The Milk of Dreams by Leonora Carrington, and it's just mad, really. It's just bizarre little stories with strange things happening. Like this is a little boy called John whose head fell off, and the head took off outside the window, and then John jumped out the window to catch the head, and he caught the head. The stories are really crazy, and the illustrations are even crazier, and we get a right laugh out of this. There's lots of rude words like poo and wee and stuff like that. Again, read this, like all the books I have here, do vet them and read them before you give them to your child, because your child could be different from my child, could be more sensitive, could get more upset. Please do always read the book yourself before you go to purchase it. That's really quick. 5 of my most loved books. I've lots of others I could have done, but I just chose those because they would be classed as good quality children's literature. So there's interesting illustrations, interesting thoughts, the child's brain is working, there's really good opportunities for language experience as well with the parent, and you're going to enjoy reading them, which is really important that the parent is enjoying it as well. There's a really good website called Storyline Online. It's not a website, it's actually on YouTube, and they get loads of famous actors and comedians to read a story out, and because they're actors and comedians, they just read it really well. That would be very handy during this time when you're just sitting at home, and if they are using technology and you need a bit of time, if you're working from home, you just need a breakaway, it's useful to put on something like that. So we'll add that link on YouTube. Do you have any favourite picture books? We would love to hear the picture books that you like. They don't even have to be this highbrow literature that I'm talking about. Any books at all that you're enjoying reading to your children, maybe books that you're reading over and over again. They can be very comforting, like The Gruffalo is a really comforting book because we know the ending, we know the beginning, we know the characters. So to read that book now to a child is actually, reading is really comforting as well. So do let me know. Go onto our Instagram page, Mash.ie. You'll see all the links just there, and they're also down below. You can comment. It is #MashLockdown, and we also are on IGTV on Instagram and now on YouTube. It has been great. I love talking about books. I could do it forever, but you've got things to do, haven't you? And so do I. I need to eat some lunch. Anyway, we shall speak to you tomorrow where we'll have our really, really cool Get Ready for St. Patrick's Day at Home. I also need to think of a really catchy title for that video. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I would love to hear your feedback or questions, or if you disagree with me or agree, I won't take offence. Okay, have a great day. Talk to you later.